Hey everybody, it's Ryan again. And I just wanted to make this video to talk about something that a lot of gay guys like to talk about, which is dicks and dick size. Um, and it seems like a lot of straight guys who like to talk about, or at least seem to be interested in dick size, which is kind of funny. It's kind of gay, but whatever. I guess sexuality isn't always cut and dry in black and white. But anyway, so the question of does size matter is a old question, and um, people have been asking it for a long time, and people are probably going to continue to keep asking it because there's no definitive answer. It matters if it matters. It matters. It depends on who you ask. There are plenty of men and women who will say it doesn't matter to me at all, and then there are people who say yeah, it matters a lot. Um, so you're not really going to get ever like one solid answer, one size fits all kind of answer to this question. Um, I've heard some people say, especially like kind of catty gay guys, say there's two types. There's size queens, and then there's liars. And um, that's not true. I'm one of the people who's it doesn't matter to me, um, and it generally doesn't. And I'll tell you why. It's um, because I've had lots of well endowed sexual experiences with guys who are really well endowed, and they weren't that great. And I've had a lot of sexual experiences with guys who were not big. That was awesome. And then also too, it seems to me, at least with my experience, which um, is not lacking. I mean, not to like sound like a slut, but I've had a lot of sex with men and with a variety of different penis sizes that um, a lot of times well endowed guys that are really big, kind of seem to you guys that are big. I don't know where you got this idea that all you have to do is just like show up and take your pants off, and it'll you'll the great sex just will just happen. That's doesn't cut it. Like you can't just like show up and say, okay, well, here's my big dick and I'm done. You have to you still have to participate in the sex, and you still have to make it good, and you still have to you know go through the motions. You can't just like show up and say, well, here it is and have a good night, which in my experience kind of happens more with bigger guys. Average guys and smaller guys put effort into the sex, and they want to make sure that you are having a good time. And usually, if you are trying to make someone have a good time, they will have a good time. Um, so no, we're not lying when we say that it doesn't matter, because it's not something that is gonna make or break you when it comes to your sexual performance. The way you perform well, um, and if you're compatible that well, but just your anatomy is not um, gonna make the sex great or make it bad either. So it's not really on my radar when choosing a sexual partner. There's a lot of other things that are like, is he a good person? Does he have a job? Does he genuinely care about me? Does he treat me well? Um, does he have respect for other people? Does he respect himself? And does he respect me? Are we into each other? Um, and am I attracted to him? Those are the things that matter to me, and a big dick doesn't really fit into that. So, um, it's not important to us, and we're not lying when we say that. So there you go. It's not a lie when we say that. So that's what I have to say about that. And then, so like, what is big and what is small? What is average? Um, I I did it. I did some research about it, and I've done it before, but I wanted to make sure that it was like up to date, and I did a Google search on it, and um, the first thing that came up was from livescience.com, and it says that the average male erect American penis is 5.6 inches. And then I looked at two other ones, and one said 5.2, and then the other one said 5.4. So it's right about like 5.5 inches is like the average American male penis. And that's kind of actually, when you look at the other statistics of like how it relates to other countries, America's on the larger side. Um, and so I think a lot of guys think that they're small when they're not small. They're average. They're like medium. They're the same size as most guys. I read this other thing too before I made this. They said that 90% of the male population all fall within 5 to 7 inches, with only 10% either being big or smaller than that. So a lot of times I think guys like I've encountered a lot of guys who are like, I'm small, and I see them, and they're not small, they're not big, but they're not small. And I think a lot of guys um, are kind of like insecure about it and have a negative perception of their own penis because they're comparing themselves. I mean, I guess they're comparing themselves to porn stars, but or maybe they believe all of that shit on Grindr and Scruff, where everybody on there says that they're got this giant dick when they don't. I'm sure that there's some that are, but I mean, I've I I hook up. I've hooked up, and I can tell you that, like a dollar bill is exactly 6 inches. Um, you'll hardly find anybody on Grindr or Scruff who says that they're less than 7. And you know, take out a dollar bill and hold it up to a guy's erection. Most guys are not going to be much bigger than a dollar bill. Um, but they all sure say that they are. So, you know, it's kind of like when I was reading about this too, they were talking about how when they first started to study male penis size, that they had they had the guys that they were studying in the study, that they told them to self-report, so they would measure their own penises, and then they would tell the doctors what the measurements were. And they had to stop doing that because guys were exaggerating and they weren't giving them the correct accurate size. So they were saying they were bigger than what they actually were. So now they don't let, and I guess for these studies, they don't let them measure themselves anymore because they don't get accurate readings. So don't go by like what people say that they are online. These are like hookup sites, they're hookup apps, and they're saying, they're kind of padding their stats. They're probably saying they're younger than what they are. They're probably saying they're thinner than what they are, and they're probably saying that their dicks are bigger than what they really are. So don't compare yourself to that, and don't compare yourself to porn, because those are, it's a fantasy. They're selling you a fantasy, and porn is a business. They're out to sell, they're out to make money, and they're there to offer you an unrealistic fantasy. And so don't compare yourself to that, because it's not reality. Um, so let's see. I talked about so what what to do about it. Like if you think that you're small or your partner thinks that you're small, what do you do about it? I can tell you, and the honest answer is if your partner isn't satisfied with you, then you need to be with the partner that who is. That's what you can do about it. And you you don't have to put up with, and I don't care if your dick is a foot long or if it's 2 inches long, or if you're rich or you're poor, or you're how heavy you are or how tall you are or anything else. You should be with a partner who respects you and who loves you for what you are and doesn't want you to be anything else. Um, so that's what you can do about it. If you have somebody who's dissatisfied with you and it's something that's beyond your control, then you need to find somebody that is really into you. Um, so yeah, find somebody who's like, you don't have to put up with that. You have a lot to offer people, and if somebody's, I mean, to me that's so. And I'm a pretty sexually experienced person, and I think that that's a really stupid reason to not be satisfied with somebody. I mean, that's just it's really silly, and it's really kind of sad to me. Um, so don't put up with that. You don't have to put up with that. Go find somebody that's into your dick. There's somebody out there that's going to be totally into your dick, and you go find them. And you don't have to be with that guy or that girl that isn't into it. So don't sell yourself short. Um, so another thing is that I was watching this interview with Dan Savage, and he was saying how that he had a boyfriend who I guess was smaller than average, and Dan Savage was saying that it didn't bother him, and he wasn't bothered by his boyfriend's penis, but his boyfriend was really insecure about it, and I guess kind of neurotic about it, and his insecurities caused problems for the relationship, and it eventually contributed to their breakup. And so what I would say about that is, and I've heard other guys say that too about their boyfriends, that they were, average or they were smaller, and it wasn't a problem, but they ended up making it a problem. So if it's not a problem, then don't make it a problem. You know, and accept who you are, and accept and love yourself as you are, and allow yourself to be loved too. Um, so that's what I would say about that. And then also, I wanted to, like, if you have a boyfriend and or a girlfriend, and they are, you know, like a lot of times, like I had a boyfriend who, um, and I'm not small. Like I'm a little bigger than that national average that I just told you about, but I'm not like big. What I would consider big. Um, let's see. I'm like I'm I'm just a little bit bigger than the average. I'll put it that way. I'm not, but I don't want. I'm not huge, but anyway. But anyway, so I had this boyfriend, and he was he would always make these comments about when he would talk about past sexual experiences, because we were kind of like best friends too. We would talk about different past experiences that we had, and if it was good or if it was not, and we were kind of like best friends in that way, and as well as lovers too. And whenever he would talk about his past sexual experiences, he would always talk about how big the guy's dick was, and we had an open relationship too, and which I'm not a monogamous kind of guy, like, and I'll talk about that later. Don't judge. It's just how I am, and it's okay. Um, but throughout the course of our relationship, as soon as we opened the relationship, it became very apparent to me that, he was telling me that, no, you're fine, and I think your dick is fine, but then he was out always hooking up with and actively looking for all the time. Took up a lot of his time and took up time away from me to go look for these guys who have big wieners. And, I broke up with him over that because I don't, I don't have to put up with that. I shouldn't have to put up with that. And I don't have to put up with that. And I won't have to put up with that. And, now I have a boyfriend who loves my dick and likes my size and is totally into me, and we have great sex. So what I would say to you is like, you know, like with him, I wasn't what I think I was like satisfactory to him sexually, but I wasn't what he really wanted. But what I did do for him was I offered him, all the security and love and, the home life that he wanted. But, he, in all honesty, obviously through his actions, he told me that he wanted something bigger. So now he's free to go do that. And now I'm free to go find somebody who's really into me too. So don't put up with people who aren't appreciating you for what you are, or who are just, not accepting you as a full package, because, you don't have to. And there's somebody out there who will love your penis, no matter what size it is. I don't care, if you're 2 inches or you're 13 inches. There's somebody out there who's gonna love your dick, and you're going to have really hot sex with that person. So don't feel like that that you're flawed and that you have to like kind of just put up with whatever you get, because that's not true. So anyway, I hope that this was entertaining and it was maybe informative, hopefully. And in closing, I would just say that you should love yourself, and also, love other people for what they are, and love yourself for what you are, no matter what is going on with your body. So anyway, be well to each other and have great sex and love each other. Have a good night. Bye.